Hey everyone, it's Ben here with the October update. So now, chapter 1 was on gender and pansexuality. I gave an update in the last video, but generally it's all about the importance of finding our own personal identities, and gender and your sexuality are obviously big parts of that. It's a chapter about really personal stories, usually just one person in each story. It's not about relationships really, and it's how our own identities can come into conflict with societal norms. Now, chapter 2, which is on sex and kink, is being written to describe kind of the different sides of ourselves and how those different sides can come into contact with other people's identities in the world. So when I say sex, it refers to our physical bodies. And in the context of the book will be distinct from gender, which refers to our kind of psychological attributes. Sexuality will refer to our erotic desires and the actions we take based on those desires. In particular, kinks and fetishes or fantasies or dreams or whatever, they tell us a lot about ourselves. And often sex, through having sex, is how we start to kind of engage with the people that we're attracted to and interested in partnering with or mating with. We also discuss sex and reproduction, and it's important for us as an animal species. Sex has gotten us this far, that's how we evolve and why we're still here, but it looks very different now than just an evolutionary driver. So, a few co-authors are working now on anecdotes discussing how sex impacts their lives specifically. Some to do with kink and BDSM and the whole world of dominance and submission, these kind of tendencies. The idea being that we all have a light and a dark side to us. And those sides can be accentuated and exaggerated through sex in some pretty interesting ways, and sometimes looking at the extreme can tell us a lot about ourselves or about our nature as a species. And for many people, sex is kind of the only realm in which they let themselves be taken over by their more animalistic tendencies. So that's kind of generally chapter 2. It's also got a lot in it already, and you'll be able to kind of see how we're steering the story. That's chapter 2. I'll have another video shortly for chapter 3, which is on polyamory and holy matrimony. So you can see it. Chapter 1 is about personal identity. Chapter 2 is about how we start to kind of interact with each other. And then chapter 3 is how we choose to partner and mate with one another, and the different kind of structures that can take. Yeah, so have a look through the Google document if you haven't already, because you'll actually be able to see the style that the book is going to be written in, and how it's going to read, and how I'll be referencing contributions from co-authors, the stories that they share or links that they share to articles or podcasts that they're listening to. You'll see a bunch of references already. I'll put the actual link into whatever piece it's from, or I'll link to a conversation in Reddit. So it's becoming this kind of electronic document. So chapter 1 now is kind of substantially written in the way that I intend to write the rest of the book. It's a bit more personal, chapter 1, to me. I use a few of my own stories because it's kind of designed to transition from my first book, which was an autobiographical novel or memoir type. The first chapter transitions a bit from that, and then I intend to use primarily co-author stories and anecdotes for the rest of the chapter. I'll continue to write in the same style, and the chapters I think will kind of come quickly now that we've got an idea of what the story is going to sound like. And the stories are kind of coming in and to support the narrative. what I'm seeing in the conversations in Reddit are really beautiful, and illuminating and profound and very real. It's really, really great. That said, they don't have to all be that way. Some co-authors seem to be a bit intimidated by what's going on, and just don't worry. Your posts don't have to be as well thought out and curated as some of the ones that you're seeing. Some people have been sitting on these thoughts and even written pieces for a long time just without an outlet, so they're posting these with a lot of thought and energy and emotion behind them, but they can also be quick off the cuff kind of stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. If you find you're getting stuck, a couple co-authors have talked about being a bit timid and not really knowing where to start. But as long as you're putting in the time, just keep doing what you're doing. There's no right way to do it. The project in general is kind of too big to grasp for anyone who's only spending 27 minutes a week on it. So don't necessarily try and understand the whole thing, just jump into a conversation that you're interested in and share your thoughts, and just kind of trust that the rest of the project is working normally. And again, if you're doing anything wrong, I'll tell you, but I don't know if that's possible. I definitely haven't seen it yet. We're sitting at around 40 co-authors right now out of the 151, and we'd like to see that number climb to maybe around 100 over the next month. So if you or anybody you know is interested in the project, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of the co-authors. We'd love to have you involved. If you're watching at this point, then you're connected to us already in some way. You're already a part of our community. And the more varying experiences of human existence, the better. So don't think that you're not qualified or this isn't your demographic or whatever. So the co-authors are also playing around with the idea of including photos in the chapters, which I think is a great idea. So you can start taking a look at the beginning of each chapter, in addition to the quotes, which also kind of steer the conversation. We're going to start including photos that kind of depict some kind of theme from the chapter. And lastly, we're also talking now about having an exhibit for the end of the project, which might be kind of a book launch / interactive art exhibit. We met with an auto company, Prototype D, the other day. Sylvie's one of the co-authors, to talk about developing a virtual reality app for that event, and perhaps turning it into kind of a couple week-long exhibit. Anyway, more to come on that shortly, and take a look for the chapter 3 video on polyamory and holy matrimony to come soon. And yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks for watching, and reach out if you have any questions or you're interested in becoming a co-author. Thanks, everyone.